What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the Acura Audio Garage. Today we're going to be talking about our plug-and-play amps. We've gotten a lot of requests for the information on these, what comes with them, how are they installed, etc. So I'm just going to run through kind of what they do, what they replace, and how they work. If you see me glancing down, it's because my script's over here. I'm trying to make sure I keep my points concise and don't go on rambling. So these are the factory amplifiers in your Acura. This is for a TL, this is for an MDX, and this is for a TSX. So these amplifiers are rather small, but they do run the entire audio system in your car. They even power the subwoofer. In the TL, this powers the sub, and the MDX, this powers the sub as well. We found a way to replace these factory amps with newer amps, better technology, more efficient, louder, more bass, while using all the factory wiring. So that means you just unplug the old amp, plug the new amp in. You don't have to run any new wiring. You don't have to do any wire cutting. You don't have to tune anything. These come ready for you to just plug in and start enjoying. Our plug-and-play amps solve a variety of issues, but the ones I want to cover with you are the most common. So the first most common issue is your factory amplifier is failing. When your factory amplifier begins failing, you'll notice that you'll either have a hiss, you'll start to lose overall volume, so you'll be like, hey, my car doesn't get as loud as it used to, or you'll lose a certain channel. So let's say the left speaker won't work, right speaker won't work. I've also seen cases where only the subwoofer works. So normally when your amp begins to fail, you start looking for a replacement. That's where these come in. On a side note, if your amp is failing, you can invest in repairing your amp. You can replace the capacitors on the amp, and most of the time that takes care of the issues. There are services out there. That's not something we do. It's not always worth the investment to repair the factory amp because it's something that can fail again. It's an outdated architecture. I recommend going with something newer, but that is up to you. The other common problem that our customers face is that the factory audio system just isn't loud enough. Now that's just a limitation of the factory audio systems, not necessarily things are going wrong or something broke. It's just you want louder volume. The factory amplifier can only put out so much. So it is time to upgrade or install something new. Both of these issues, your amp no longer working, the system just not being loud enough, usually result in the same outcome. It's, hey, I'm gonna replace the amplifier, I'm going to bypass the amplifier. If you have an aftermarket radio, you can bypass the amplifier. For the Acura TL, we actually have an amp bypass kit. If you're looking for the amp bypass kit for the MDX or the TSX, it's coming. It should be here before the holidays. It's just not ready yet. But if you are thinking about bypassing, our bypass kits allow you to install a new amp or bypass the factory amp, meaning no amp in the car. You're gonna use the radio power to power the speakers in the car, but that's gonna require you to have an aftermarket radio. Now you watching this video are thinking to yourself, hey, is my amplifier bad? Does it get as loud as it's supposed to be? For you, we've put together this rudimentary test where we're going to measure the audio output on the factory radio, factory amplifier for you so you can test that against your system. And then we'll do aftermarket radio, factory amplifier so you can test that as well. So basically you're gonna download an app called Decibel X or similar like it. It's just going to use your microphone to measure the sound level around you. You're gonna put it right on the center console, and you're just gonna listen, you're just gonna let it listen and check your average. So now this is a very rudimentary test. You don't want to, you know, if you're condemning your system if it's 1.2 points below. But this is just a good overall test for you to know, hey, my amplifier is working the way it's supposed to, or wow, I'm missing a lot of volume I didn't realize. Maybe I should look at replacing my amplifier. All right, guys, so to perform this rudimentary test, you're gonna download an app called Decibel X or one like it. It's just an audio meter, so you can look up audio meter on the App Store, Play Store, etc. Then you're gonna go and play music. I recommend this song because it's the one we're using to test. It's On My Level by Wiz Khalifa. Then we go back to our audio meter and we're gonna crank our volume to 2 before max or 3 before max. So your radio might go up to 40, might go up to 60. You wanna be 2 before max. So in this case, we're gonna go up to 58. In your radio, you might wanna go up to 39, 38, and you're gonna look at the average decibel level. You don't care about max, you wanna see the average. So I'm gonna put the radio on and then I'm gonna start capturing data. Drinking out the bottle, smiling club, spend this money up, roll another one, drink, act a fool. That's what I have So you can see our average with the aftermarket radio and the factory amplifier is right around 88. So that's our average. That's where yours should be. So when you perform this rudimentary test, you're going to play the song, you're going to open up the decibel meter app, and you're going to check your average. You want to start recording once the music is playing, and you want to make sure your average is between 1 or 2 points of this. That's how you know your factory amplifier is working the way it's supposed to. If it's louder than this, congratulations. If it's a couple points lower than this, then you want to look, see if maybe something's going on with that amp or not. We're going to move on to our next test, which is going to be the factory amplifier and the factory radio. We're just going to swap that out. Alright guys, so now we're going to test the output level of the factory system. So we have the factory radio down here. Don't worry about this, it's not on, it's not working. And we're playing a CD on, again, the factory amplifier. So you're going to choose a CD. We're using Schoolboy Q's, Voice Q's Oxymoron. We're going to play collard greens, and then we're going to measure the output. So I'm going to restart my app. I'm going to hit play once I start playing music. So I'm going to restart that song. Now I'm going to crank it up to 39, and we'll see what kind of output we get. So now you can see that our average is 79, which is a whole 10 points lower, almost 10 points lower than our average was with the aftermarket radio. So if you want more volume, aftermarket radio is highly recommended. Now I'm going to show you the output level with one of our plug-and-play amps on the factory radio, and then with one of our plug-and-play amps on the aftermarket radio. We're going to swap that out right now. And then after that, we'll go over installation of the amplifiers and how they work. So now I just want to show you the output level of our plug-and-play amp. I'm first going to show it to you with the factory radio, and then I'll show it to you with an aftermarket radio. I'm going to put the radio up, and then I'm going to start recording my output level. So
straight to my level, watch this, no tick. Yeah, I'm the nigga, game rap, and the object, rocket, blast, blast, new beginnings, lovely, pinky.
So as you can see, our overall average is a lot higher than before, and then also our max is a lot higher than before. So if you use a factory radio, you can get more output out of our plug-and-play amp than the factory amp. You're going to get a lot louder volume and better bass response. Obviously, we recommend installing that other subwoofer to do so. Now I'm going to move on to the aftermarket radio with our plug-and-play amp so you can see the output level on that. Alright guys, so now I'm going to show you the output level of an aftermarket radio, our plug-and-play amp with the factory speakers. All of the tests we have done have been with the factory speakers, just an upgraded sub.
This wasn't my position, you too broke to play the part. Of course, I keep some bad women with me.
So you could see that our overall average has gone up several points from the factory radio, and that our max overall is way over what we had before. So if you're looking at overall volume, this is a solid upgrade with the factory radio or an aftermarket radio. If you're looking for sound quality, I know we can't really demonstrate that on YouTube, but again, a solid upgrade our plug-and-play amp. Perform that test, you're like, hey man, yeah, this factory amplifier has to go, man. This thing's not getting as loud as it's supposed to. You have a decision to make. You're going to replace the amplifier. You need to decide, am I going to bypass it? Am I going to install a new system and, you know, do new speakers, new subs, new wiring? Or do I want something a little more convenient, something that I don't necessarily need to take to an audio shop for or spend a weekend doing, something that I can maybe install in an hour or so, and that's where our plug-and-play amps come in. So back to our plug-and-play amps. So we've established that you want to invest in something new. You don't want to fix the factory amplifier. Now you have to decide whether you're looking at something like in a convenient package that you can just, you know, plug in and upgrade, or if you want to go with a full-fledged audio system. So if you are thinking of going with a full-fledged audio system, you want to replace speakers, you want to replace the tweeters, the subwoofer, etc., amplifiers, you can find most of the stuff you need on our website. So if you're replacing the factory speakers, we have the speaker adapters and the speaker spacers to make that really simple. We also have the tweeter adapters to make replacing the tweeters a little bit easier. And then of course, the amp bypass we talked about to replace the amp in the car. Now, if you're deciding, hey, I'm not really going to consider doing all that, it's a lot of work, it's going to be pretty expensive to replace all that stuff, that's where our plug-and-play amps come in. On a side note, if you are thinking about going with a full-fledged audio system, you're going to want to invest in some pretty solid equipment. You don't want $30, $20 speakers. They're not going to be an upgrade over the factory speakers in the TL. Even though the TL is old, when it was released, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, at least for the application we're talking about, the audio system was premium in its time. If you invest in something cheap, don't expect it to perform better than the factory system. If you are going to go for a complete upgrade, then really invest in quality equipment that's going to get the job done. But if that's not what you're looking to do, you want to keep everything stock, our plug-and-play amps are going to help you solve your issue. You've made a decision, you're going to invest in something new, you don't want to go through the hassle of a complete install, you're going to use one of our plug-and-play amps. Let me give you an overview of what they are, what they come with, how they work, and what you can expect audio-wise from them. So our most popular package is going to be the 5-channel amp. The 5-channel amp is going to run the front speakers, the rear speakers, and your subwoofer. You will lose the center channel audio, and on paper that seems like a really big thing. It seems like, oh my god, I'm losing the center channel. But once you upgrade the amplifier, you're going to realize that, hey, I don't even realize that the center channel is missing. And that's very common for the amp upgrade and the radio upgrade. When you change both, or one or the other, you'll notice that you have added overall volume to the system, and you won't really notice that that center channel is gone. The 5-channel version is, again, our most popular, and it'll power all the speakers in the car. If you have your own set of subs, so you have aftermarket subs, let's say 212s, 210s, 110 in the rear, you can use our 4-channel amp to power your door speakers. So again, you're gonna lose the center channel, but you will get all 4 door speakers. They will be louder. Both of these amps work with all of the factory speakers, so you can leave the factory speakers in the door. This will give them power at the right frequencies so they don't blow, they'll just be louder. And the same for the 5-channel. The only thing is, with the 5-channel, if you're going to be cranking bass, if you're going to want that extra bass output, you're going to need to replace the subwoofer. Alright guys, so the 5-channel amplifier comes in 2 configurations. The first configuration is going to be just the actual amplifier, the bass accompanying bass knob to control your bass level, and the plug and play harness. So the plug and play harness has the same connectors that the factory amplifier has, and it has the connectors that match up with the amp. All you have to do is plug that in, secure the amp. All of these settings on the side of the amp are going to be set for you. So basically it's plug and play, you can enjoy new sound. If you are going to be cranking your bass or looking for more bass output, then I'd take a look at our second configuration. Our second configuration is going to include the amp again. So obviously everything you see here, the amp, the bass knob, the plug and play harness specific to your vehicle, but it's also going to include the necessary spacer to install the new subwoofer, the speaker harness that is going to match up 0708, 04, 05, 06 for your factory sub, so you don't have to cut any wiring, and then the actual subwoofer. So this is a dual voice coil sub. It's going to come down to an impedance of 2 ohms, just like the factory sub. So you can actually just install this sub and not upgrade the amp. But when we upgrade the amp, we recommend also upgrading the sub for that extra bass output. And due to that extra bass output, we also send you some sound deadening. So this sound deadening is going to go on the rear deck. And the reason for the sound deadening is to stop all the rattle. So when you upgrade the sub and you output more bass, it's going to cause some rattle back there, either on the actual lid or the metal components on that back deck. So you want to make sure you apply your sound deadening very thoroughly to eliminate any of that rattle. Now with upgrading the subwoofer for the second configuration, it can seem like a daunting task because you might have to remove the back seat, you might have some more disassembly than you're used to install something. So another possibility is to eliminate this sub, not use the factory sub or this sub, and run a subwoofer, traditional subwoofer, a 10, a 12, and a box in the rear. So you would hook up to the rear subwoofer output, you would run that to that new speaker, to that new subwoofer, and you could get away with more bass, and so that way, instead of having to take the seat out, applying all this sound deadening. It's an easier way to upgrade. While the sub is in the trunk, you still will feel it. There'll still be more bass output. So it's still a possibility, and we'll show that to you in a second, kind of what that sounds like and how to go about installing it. So before we jump in on how to install these, I just want to show you the 4-channel amp. So the 4-channel amp is a good option when your factory amplifier is going bad, has gone bad, or you want more volume, but you also already have or are going to install aftermarket subwoofers. So the 4-channel option is only going to power your door speakers. You're going to lose your center channel and the subwoofer. But if you're running aftermarket subs, there's no reason for the actual factory subwoofer to even work. So you can use our 4-channel amp plug and play to power your door speakers. And in here you get your plug and play harness for whatever vehicle, specific vehicle, and then the amplifier to install in the vehicle. Again, this amplifier is plug and play, so it comes preset, all the settings. All you need to do is plug it in, secure it in place, and you're good to go. Now that we covered all of the plug and play amp options, I'm going to show you how to install them in the car. I'm going to show you what they sound like, and then I'm going to show you the subwoofer output on the upgraded subwoofer, and then also on the subwoofer in the trunk that I mentioned earlier that you can install as well. I hope the information that I've provided to you so far is helpful. It can help you make a decision. And if you're looking for either amp, either the 5-channel or 4-channel, or either combination, you can find them on our website. Everything's in stock, ready to ship. All you have to do is place your order and you're good to go. To install one of our plug and play amps, you're going to need to remove the factory amp. So the factory amplifier is going to be installed in this location. It's going to have 3 screws securing it. You're going to release the screw up here behind the glove box and 2 screws down below. Then you'll be able to twist the amplifier out of its location and get it loose like this. Then you're going to disconnect this connector and disconnect this connector, and now you can put this amp away. Now we have our plug and play amp, so our connectors are the same. You're going to plug this connector right in here. You're going to plug this connector right in here. And then this plugs into the amp right here. And then you have this connector that plugs into the amp here. So here you plug in this one, and this one. And then this is for your optional bass knob. So that last plug's for the optional bass knob. So if you want full bass control at all times, you have an adjustable knob that you can mount somewhere, and that's what's going to plug right into this last connector. For our demonstration purpose, we're not going to use that connector. Alright guys, with the second configuration of our plug and play amp, you're going to install the amplifier here in the kick panel. You're going to secure it in place, hide all that wiring. There's plenty of room there to do so, but you're also going to need to upgrade this subwoofer. So to upgrade this subwoofer, you're going to need to lay down sound deadening, otherwise you're going to get a lot of rattle back here, and you're going to have our adapter plate and then the new sub to mount in place. This new sub sounds really good, a lot of bass output, better bass. Let me give you a quick demo. Amp is installed. I know it's hard to see because of the light, but it is up here secured. As you can see, it fits in there with no problem. And then let me show you the other option I was talking about. So if you don't want to go through the trouble of removing this back seat and replacing that amplifier, what you can do is use the connector that is back there and install a down firing sub like this. As you can see, here's our wire. I know this isn't that clean, but it's for demonstration purposes. As you can see, we have a down firing kicker sub. This is coming from the subwoofer output that's connected back there, and you can leave this nicely in the trunk out of the way and still have that extra bass. All right guys, so that takes care of the installation of the amp, the demonstration of how it sounds and how much more volume you'll get out of the system, and then also how to go about sound deadening and really installing that amp correctly. Before I sign off, I just want to go over the specifications of the amp and some of the common questions that we get regarding the amps. So first, for the specifications on the 5-channel amp, we're using them at 2 ohms since our factory speakers are all 2 ohms and that upgraded subwoofer is wired down to 2 ohms. So that's going to be 4x80 plus 1 times 200. I don't know how close these specifications are to the real thing. I want to say you are possibly getting 200 watts out of that sub, but I don't think you're getting a full 80 watts out of the speakers. But overall, it is an upgrade still. It still sounds better. You can see it is louder. And then for the 4-channel, you have that again at 4 ohms, it's 4 times 40. And then at 2 ohms, it's 4 times 80. Now, some of the common questions we get regarding the amps and installation is it really plug and play? Do I have to change anything? 9 out of 10 times, it's going to be fully plug and play. There is nothing to change. What can happen, customers have done, is they use the factory radio at first, and they go, hey, you know what? I'm going to install an aftermarket radio, and that requires some changes. You reach out to us. We tell you, hey, this is what you have to adjust. Listen for this, etc. And it's something you can take care of. Another common question we get is, oh, hey, if I get the 4-channel amp, can I run my own subwoofers? The 5-channel amp, can I run the with the 5-channel amp, can I run the factory sub in my own subs? Yes, you can, because these come with the necessary harnesses. You can use RCA Y splitters to run additional amps. So you could run another sub amp, another voice amp if you wanted to, depending on what you were doing. Another question we often get is, do the amps come with warranties? Yes, you get a 1-year manufacturer warranty on both. So MB Quart, Hyphonics both provide a warranty. We can exchange them for you. You would just send the amp back to us, and we'd send you a new one, etc. Take care of the warranty process. The other question we get is, hey, couldn't I just buy this amp on my own and do the installation myself? Yeah, you can. If you want to use these amps, you know what you're doing. You can cut some factory wiring, or either use our amp bypass or use a combination of our products or products available online to do this yourself. Just make sure you know what you're doing. You don't want to permanently damage your Acura when installing these amps. The ones we are selling are the same ones you have access to. They're just configured correctly and paired with the plug and play harnesses, so there's no errors when installing them. The last thing I want to mention, guys, that's not really a question, but it is something that comes up a lot, is we now carry almost everything you need for the Acura TL. So we have the speaker spacers for the front and rear, making installing front and rear speakers a lot easier. Have the tweeter adapters, the speaker harnesses to replace all the speakers. So we're really becoming your one-stop shop for everything you're going to need. We're selling component speakers and coaxial speakers for the front and rear. You can check those out on our store. There's a ton of stuff that we have available for your Acura, so just make sure you check out the store. I'm sure you're going to find something, from a backup camera to a new radio. There's going to be something for you, and we obviously appreciate your business. Before I sign off in the video, I'm going to ask for you to give it a like. I'm going to ask for you to subscribe. We always have content for your Acura, whether it be product reviews, product demonstration videos like this one, or just DIY videos on how to do certain things for your Acura. So make sure you stay tuned, make sure you subscribe, and really appreciate it if you like the video.